If there is a challenge that we all share as recruiters, it's finding candidates and more specifically, getting a good response rate on LinkedIn. And that's what I'm going to teach you in today's video. How to improve your response rate on LinkedIn using the data from one of the latest LinkedIn survey on LinkedIn Inmails. And first thing first, there are 5 rules that I always keep in mind when I send a message to a candidate, which are: have a personalized approach, be concise, be informal, create value, and tackle objections up front. And actually, those 5 rules are confirmed by the latest LinkedIn survey. If you look at the data, the response rate for Inmails of 201 to 400 characters is 16% above the average response rate. So in other words, shorter Inmails are 16% more likely to receive a response. And this is why my first tip is KISS. Keep it short and simple. Be informal, be concise. Never share job description. Forget about those long messages with multiple paragraphs. It should be like sending a text message or a WhatsApp message to a colleague. You want to be informal because you are not sharing an ad. You are trying to engage. Second tip, personalize your approach, because what the survey is showing is that personalized message perform about 20% better than ones written or sent in bulk. So personalize your message. Email sent individually perform better. It is really important to make the candidate feel that you read his profile and that you are specifically sending this message to him. And to do so, the best way to do it is to be specific. Be specific about what you like in their profile. So don't be too vague. Like, yes, I like your experience as a software engineer. No. Use specifically what you like in their profile with the technologies that they are using, the methodologies, a recent certification they got, or a project they are working. Really be specific. They need to know that it is impossible that this message has been sent to 10, 20, or 100 people at the same time. And lastly, in the same idea, it is interesting to see that the survey shows that emails written without a template are performing better than template messages. And this is why personally, I tend not to use template message too much. So maybe 20-30% of the time I use a template that I adapt to each individual, to each candidate. But most of the time I just write a message from scratch. Why? Because I want to keep an open mind. I want to be a bit more creative. And yes, I realize that it tends to help a bit. So your response rate can benefit from this spontaneity and this creativity, but on the other hand, it takes more time. So it is also on you to find the right balance. Tip number 3, always include a call to action in your message. And to do so, you need to understand what's your real goal. And your real goal is to get the candidate contact details, because this is the only way to understand the situation and to sell the job accordingly. So that should be your priority, getting the candidate's phone number. And it might be that this step is a bit difficult for you because most of candidates within your market are not looking for a job. If it is the case, what you should learn to do is to show to the candidate how they can still benefit from this call, even though they are not actively looking for a job. Because, for example, you will answer any question they have. You will share market information. And also, it is always better because you are specialized in the market and you are a good recruiter. You are having a personalized approach. It is always better to get to know a good recruiter today when you don't need him, so you can make your selection, rather than having to do that once you will be looking for a new job. So you have to change your perspective and to learn how to show your candidate how he can still benefit from the call, even though he's not looking for a job right now. Now let me show you one of my typical message. Hello, Mr. Candidate. I see that you are currently busy and probably happy at, and I name the company, in the following role, and I name the role. And then I ask the following question. But I was wondering at which extent you might consider a new role. And that question is very important because this is a way to tackle the objection up front. Because here I acknowledge the fact that yes, I'm aware that you are probably happy at your job. I'm aware that you are probably not looking for a new job, but I want to understand at which extent. I want to understand what would be that opportunity that could still convince you to change now. Because what I'm implying is that there is always an opportunity out there that could convince you to change job right now. And what I want to understand is, what is that opportunity for you? Then for the second part of the message, there are 2 alternatives. So you could say, we are currently building our team, and you name the team, and we are very interested in your profile. And you name specifically the skills that you like in the profile. Okay, that is very important to be specific. Or even better, what you could say is, and this is what we could offer. It is more about the profile itself, more about a candidate. And what you offer to the candidate, what you mention, you want this to be directly connected to things that you saw in the resume, in the candidate's profile. It has to speak to the candidate directly. And then I end with the call to action. When will you be available for a quick call so I can tell you more? And this is also very important because I don't want to set up a call for the candidate to tell me more about himself. I want to make him understand that I will do the talking. You only have to listen. You don't have to put a lot of energy in it. It's more about me bringing information to you. And as you can see with that answer that I received from a candidate, they appreciate the fact that you acknowledge that they are busy, that they are happy at their job and probably not looking, and they appreciate you being specific, to the point and direct, basically not wasting their time. Another thing that you can see with that next message, but it was already true with the previous one, is because you are very direct, the candidate is also direct. And here is directly asking, for example, for the salary expectation, for what the client is offering. And in this specific example, what I would suggest you when it happens is to cut the bullshit. Obviously, you can't be too specific about salary because it depends on many factors and you are not the decision maker. If you are a market specialist, you are supposed to be able to give a range, a bracket that is reasonable, that is realistic. And this will be appreciated by the candidate, and this is how you manage to convince them to talk to you. Tip number 4, your title. Your InMail subject line should drive action by intriguing the recipient. So use humor, be creative, refer to someone that you have in common. Use anything in the profile that shows that it is a personal message. It will really help you a lot to increase your response rate. The key is to capture the candidate attention with your title. Tip number 5, use and add a PS to your message. Why? Because we as human beings are impatient. We directly want to go to the conclusion, and this is the first thing that your candidate will read. So this is the ideal opportunity to be creative, to mention a USP. Let's say, for example, that it is a full remote job and it is something very appreciated by the candidates within that market. This is really the ideal opportunity to mention it. Anything that could make the difference, you want to mention it here. You want to show there, for example, that it is a personalized message. The best thing that you have to say about this opportunity, you could mention it here, and it is working very well. Now, next tip. That being said, after all we discussed about having a personalized approach, etc., does it mean that sending message in bulk should be prohibited? Personally, I still do it once in a while. So it's very limited. Maybe 20% of my messages are sent in bulk, and I do it to extend my reach, to extend the potential. But I do it in a very smart way, which means that it is always a very small list of candidates that I've screened carefully beforehand. So I'm absolutely sure that every recipient that will receive my message is relevant to the position. So I create a project, I screen the profiles, I add them in the project, and then I will message them. But I always make sure that those profiles are relevant from both a skill set point of view, but also based on the situation. Now, tip number 7, what's the best time to message your candidates? Well, actually, it does not really matter. According to the survey, according to the data that we have, it does not really matter, except that you should avoid Saturdays. But yes, okay, we are not supposed to message our candidates during the weekend, so it is not really relevant for us. But so the preferred day would be between Monday to Thursday. Now, knowing that it takes between usually 2 to 3 days before you get an answer, then I would recommend to start early in the week. And this gives you a great flexibility because it means that since it doesn't matter when you are sending your message, just choose what is the best for you in terms of your organization, in terms of your day plan. So maybe around the lunchtime, early in the morning, during admin hour, etc. It seems to be the best way to plan it. And before we move to the tip number 8, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me a lot. So for the tip number 8, target the recommended matches and open to work, because the difference, the impact on the response rate is really high. If we take the data here, the candidates found in recommended matches are up to 35% more likely to accept InMails than candidates found in recruiter search alone. And also the response rate for candidates who indicate they are open to work to recruiters only is 37% higher than the rate for other candidates. And now if we take the candidates with the open to work badge, so it's visible to anybody, for those, they are 75% more likely to accept an answer to your emails. So definitely, it is really important to include that in your strategy. If you want to optimize and organize your day optimally and pick the right moment for every activity, sending your emails included, then definitely, if you didn't watch it yet, I recommend you to watch that video next where I share my actual day plan.